As well wear the green whale today since I wore the blue one yesterday. Still matches the hat for the most part. So there's 4 games tonight. First off, I want to say I'm very grateful to have passed 21,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. My other channel, Entertainment Guy, is 205. Last time I checked, away from 1,000. So that means 890 or 795 subscribers. For anybody who's ever wondered, the other channel I use, the Entertainment Guy, talk about wrestling, movies, TV, and music, and whatever might be on television at the time. And there's numerous movie reviews done by myself and my lovely wife. So for people who say, "Oh, I don't see enough of Yvonne on his channel," she's on the other channel a lot more, and it's fun. We have fun with that. I'll full disclaimer: I've made absolutely no money ever on that other channel. It's purely labor of love. So there's a lot of content on there too. So have fun. All right. Let's get on with it. So Jersey's playing Chicago, and this is interesting. Now, I've got a few things here. So I've got the starting goalies, the team records, the leading scorer, and the team's goal differential. Goal differential seems like it shouldn't matter, right? And yet, for some reason, the teams that usually end up doing really well in the playoffs are ones with pretty good goal differentials, which makes sense because they're the ones that probably run up the score, don't get beat by a lot. And it sort of gives that impression of, hey, if these guys lose, they probably lose by 1, and when they win, they can win big. For instance, Chicago's got 8 wins, 7 losses, and 2 overtime losses. New Jersey's got 10 wins, 4 losses, 2 overtime losses. Goal differential, there's only 1 goal difference between Chicago and Jersey. So Jersey's got blown out a few times, and it's one of those weird things. So I thought I'll put it on the board. The starting goalies are confirmed to be Kincaid, probably Crawford. They haven't confirmed Crawford, but I can't see them not going with Crawford. I just can't see it. There's been a lot of talk about Forsberg. Will Chicago get rid of Forsberg? There was a question in the chat last night. Could Berube be brought up to replace Forsberg? It really wouldn't matter. Berube is not an upgrade over Forsberg. Islanders fans, you can chime in here. I never understood why the Islanders were so determined not to put him on waivers because they thought they'd lose him. So they had a 3-goalie kerfuffle going on when I never thought Berube would have been claimed by anybody on waivers. So Chicago, for me, has a goaltending issue as their backup. They do. They absolutely do. And it is costing them because Crawford's playing great. But the other problem is their leading scorer, Patrick Kane, 17 games, 5 goals. He's never been a big goal scorer, 15 points. He's on pace for about 65 points, which is not good enough. Not. Because they don't have the depth of scoring behind him, and there's definitely some issues going on with Chicago. Taylor Hall leads the way with 17 points in 16 games, so he's got 2 extra points and 1 less game. Same amount of goals, 2 extra assists. Taylor Hall, who was seen as he's going to be a big goal-scoring guy, 40-goal player, has emerged as a guy who can make a lot of really good passes. And as long as he has good line mates, he'll put up a lot of points. He's not a guy who generates a lot of offense through his own shots. He generates it through passing. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen a more concerted effort by coaches to get him to use his shot, because Taylor Hall has a really nice shot. He does. I've seen it a few times. The guy has a wicked shot. He prefers to pass. The Oilers are in Washington. This is an interesting game. The Oilers are sporting a -13, and nobody who's seen their start would be surprised. The Capitals have a -1. The Capitals are an interesting team in that they really are very Jekyll and Hyde, and they're in a division where there's a lot of that going on right now. Edmonton looks like they're ready to dig their way out. They're ready to dig their way out of this mess that they've got themselves into. 6-9-1 and a -13. But Braden Holtby's starting for Washington, and Laurent Brossoit is starting for Edmonton. And Brossoit, if he's going to prove that they have a really good backup, this is a good game to do it. They're in Washington. Connor McDavid's starting getting hot. He has 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points in 16 games. He has started to assert himself. He has started to bring himself back in terms of scoring. Some of the guys ahead of him have cooled off, and he's maintained a good pace for scoring. Kuznetsov, 17 games, 3 goals, 60 assists, 19 points. He is the leading scorer for Washington. So Washington has cooled off offensively since that insane start. Let's be honest, the insane start of Ovechkin, which was enabled through Kuznetsov and Backstrom, but that's really cooled off quite a bit. So we'll see if Edmonton can come in and take advantage of Washington tonight. So if you're looking for an upset, that would be my pick of the most likely one. Edmonton should be pissed off after losing to the Rangers. They really should. They shouldn't be a happy team. They should be angry. Puljujarvi should be back in the lineup again tonight, and after scoring the goal in his first game up. And maybe this is Edmonton starting to pick up some steam. We'll see. Every time I think they're picking up steam, they take another step back. San Jose's in LA. This is, and I hate to say game of the night because every time I say it, it's a massacre. But this will probably be the best game of the night. These two teams don't particularly like each other. The organization's fans don't particularly like each other. The Kings are off to an 11-3-2 start. The Sharks have got themselves up to 9-6. The Sharks have been playing really well. Jones is a likely starter. He hasn't been confirmed yet, but he's a likely starter. And Quick is starting for LA. If Quick plays the way Quick has been playing to start the season, if he can be the Jonathan Quick of 30 saves on 31 shots, then the Kings can absolutely win this game over San Jose, because Jones to me is not at that level. If I was going to say elite goaltenders, Jones for me is not at that level. He's a very good goaltender, but he's not top tier in my eyes. Dell proved last night that he's a pretty good goaltender himself, so I'm going to throw that out there and give credit where credit is due. He shut down Vancouver very well last night. Couture's the leading scorer for San Jose with 10 goals in 14 games, and that's no surprise. Logan Couture is a fantastic player. He really is. I respected him, and then watching him play with the face cage that he had in the playoffs last year due to his mouth issues, the guy's a warrior. So Kopitar's the leading scorer for the Kings. He's on pace for 100 points. Kopitar right now is on pace for, this would work out to 80 games. This would work out to 100 points. So about 103 points if he plays all 82 games. Kopitar is back. And he's brought Dustin Brown with him, back from the dead. So that's key for the Kings. They have a plus 15. San Jose has a plus 7. They're both playing really, really well. Now, would I be surprised if San Jose beat LA tonight? No, because San Jose is going to go into this game knowing. So right now, 24 points to 18, that's a 6-point spread. If they win this, it's 4. If they lose this in regulation, it's 8. San Jose, I would not be surprised to see them start pulling the Kings down. I think the teams with the best chance of catching LA are the other California teams. And, we'll see if that happens. Because, of course, San Jose has been struggling with consistency. It looked really good last night against Vancouver. I think they're building up, and I think tonight could be another step along that way. And we'll find out. But that I think will be the best game of the night. Interestingly enough, Tampa's in Anaheim. So Anaheim's missing Getzlaf. Anaheim's missing Kessler. But the good news is John Gibson should be good to go tonight. He's apparently been confirmed. He's been dealing with concussion-like syndrome, or concussion-like symptoms. I find it funny that they don't just say concussion now. If you notice, anytime it's in the injury reports, they say concussion-like symptoms. And the cynic in me says this is the NHL's way of saying, okay, we're not going to confirm it's a concussion anymore. Due to all these concussion lawsuits and all these talks of concussions, we're not even going to confirm a concussion. Just say it's concussion-like. It's sort of like, when you face plant on the ground and your nose is bleeding and there's blood everywhere, and you go into a hospital and you go, it's broken nose-like. Well, I'm pretty sure it's broken. It feels broken. It's broken nose-like. How long is this going to last? Well, if it was a broken nose, you might be in pain for a couple of weeks. But since this is broken nose-like, we really can't tell you. So concussion-like symptoms for Gibson, I hope he's 100%. I really do. I hope he's 100%. Because Tampa is going to have guns a-blazing. 17 games, 8 goals, 22 assists, 30 points for Stamkos. Yeah, I could have had Kucherov on this board too, because Kucherov is number 2 in scoring in the NHL. That is the deadly duo that the Anaheim Ducks have the task of trying to stop, or at least slow down enough that they can get a win. And they have to do it without Kessler. And everybody knows my love for Kessler, but in terms of shutting down an opposing team's best forwards, Kessler's the best guy in the league at doing it. Oh, I know I can get that up. He is, for my money, I think he's the best guy in the league at doing it. And Anaheim misses that. Tampa can steamroll the Ducks tonight. They could. This could end up being a blowout. I just don't think it happens. I think Anaheim has enough pride. I think Raquel's got the offense going now. I think it was at the 12-game mark, I saw Cogliano was the number one scorer with 9 points. I remember thinking, geez, their offense really hasn't shown up. And again, I know they're dealing with injuries, but, Cogliano being your number one scorer, as great as Cogs is, seeing Raquel as the number one scorer right now makes me feel better about the Ducks scoring. And, I'll feel even better if Ryan Miller is 100% okay too, and we can start talking about Miller as a goaltender for them as well, because I love Ryan Miller. But tonight, it's Gibson being thrown to the Wolves against Vasilevsky, Stamkos, and the rest of the Lightning. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Let me know who you think's going to win the games tonight, which game you're going to be watching. Personally, I'm leaning towards waiting till later and watching this, but I know this one's going to suck me in because it's Ovechkin against McDavid. So that'll be interesting. It's not the marquee matchup of a Crosby-Ovechkin or a Crosby-McDavid, but McDavid against Ovechkin to me is still an interesting matchup. So that's probably where it'll go. And I'll check in on these games as time goes by. Again, if you watch my reaction video from last night, you'll see how I watch hockey, which is trying to keep track of everything at once. And every time I change a channel, a goal happens. So you'll notice the people in the chat will say, oh, so-and-so scored. Oh, really? I just turned that off. So, I'm trying to see what's going on. I try to make, okay, it's a power play. I'm going to watch this. Okay, that power play is over. I'm going to move around. On nights where there's only 3 or 4 games, or thank God when there's only 2, I can really watch what's going on and have a much more informed opinion than when there's 12 like last night or 15 like that one night. That's a lot to keep track of all by my lonesome. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for being out there. Thank you for being subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber yet, hit the subscribe button and make sure you come back again. So 4 good games. The one thing I noticed with tonight's games too, and I'll throw this in here, there isn't a bad team playing. There are a few teams in the league that it's like, oh, they're not very good. I don't qualify any of these teams as that. And I'm looking at you, Edmonton. Prove me wrong. Or prove me right. Prove other people wrong. You're better than this 6-9-1 record. You're better than this -13. And Brossoit, I think, can be a very good goaltender. Put Edmonton's fears to rest. Win a game over Washington, even though I cheer for Washington ahead of Edmonton. When I do these videos, I don't even look at who I do or don't cheer for. I just look at matchups. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.